Let's talk about checking out these cylinder heads here. These are I think GTV2 heads. One thing I want to check on them is just kind of see what the condition of the valve face and seat looks like. So I've gone ahead and adjusted my valve spring compressor. That's a good idea to do for any tool you pick up. Get it set up for the size, and then I can compress it down and get the keepers out. Lost one already there. There we go. Just pop them into a container over here. Take out my retainer and my spring. Working with the gloves on today. It's a little chilly out in the garage. I don't know what happened to the weather, but that's just our planet, I guess. So we'll go on to the next one. And considering these are brand new out of the box, they come apart fairly easily. I'm surprised there's no assembly lube on them or anything. I like to put a little bit of grease on them when I put them back together, just to hold the keeper in place while I'm finger fiddling it to get it in the right position and seated into the grooves properly. One, there's two. I did bring a magnet out for this purpose also. So if you're running into a problem where you can't get them picked off of there, you can just use the magnet to help you. If it's on a used engine, usually you have to kind of tap the end of the retainer and break the varnish between the keeper and the angle of the retainer seat, and then that'll break the varnish there, and then that'll allow you to get the keeper out easily, because sometimes you squeeze these down and those keepers don't want to move, and that's just because, one, they're worn in there, and two, you know, they're got a bit of varnish and debris in there that's actually kind of bonded them into position, so you kind of have to break that prior to taking it apart. So there we go, we got the last ones, and I've already gone ahead and started marking, or made some marks on this head, just identifying that it's number one, number two here. So because when I put these together, when I get around to doing the lapping on the underside here, the barrel lap to this, then I want to make sure I lap the corresponding barrel, and then once that barrel is allocated to that cylinder, then I know for sure that they're lapped and mated evenly. Some guys will put them together with just a clean barrel head, or the face of the top of the barrel, and then a clean bore in here, but the idea is to lap together with valve grinding lapping compound to make sure the seat's concentric, which is going to keep the plane between the top of the barrel and the underside of the combustion chamber, the decking area where it sits into, completely flat, and that prevents any leakage, especially in a high performance engine application where you may be running higher than normal compression ratio, or higher cylinder pressures and higher RPMs and different things like that. So got these apart now. We'll just pop the valves out. And our valve, our head was like this. So that's that valve. That valve. That valve. And that valve. So we'll take a look at the seat here. I'm not sure how well you guys can see this, but these ones have a single seat grind. So it's a 45-45, and I can already see right down in here. Geez, I'm not sure if you guys will be able to see this or not. I really doubt it, but I already see it right down in this one area down here where it doesn't even look like, oh, there's another one over here. Doesn't even look like the face of the valve has been contacting it at all. So what we'll do from this point is we will put the head in the bench here, and then we're going to end up lapping these valves into place, and then that'll get us functioning for a good seal. And there's a couple ways that it can be done. And normally what you would do is you just take your valve grinding compound or lapping compound, and you would put it on, make a contact, and see how it looks. Another way it can be done, sometimes guys will go and do it with a drill from the other side, and you just put the lapping compound on the valve face or seat, and then when you hook up your portable drill to the other side, and then just kind of bounce on the seat a little bit gently, and you do it really by means of mechanical movement or drive that you're using. And I think I can do this. I think I got enough room in here. Yep, just enough room. Just enough room to do that. Take some of that off of the top. And then use this little tool. This video was planned on being half a minute long, and it's turned into a whole process here now, but hey, here we are doing the thing. So we put this down in place, and then you lap. And if you listen to the sound's actually disappearing, which indicates that you're taking the compound and grinding it between the two surfaces, between the valve face and the valve seat. It doesn't want to stick, it's got a little bit of compound on there. I might have to clean that off with some brake clean. So let's have a quick look here, see what we get. And depending on what you're looking for on the seat and the face, and I mean, you're only going to get so much without cutting. This is going to tell me if I have a contact all the way around or not. And oh yeah, it's looking pretty darn good. Let's see if you can see that there or not. If I get too close, it might blur out, but you can see there's a nice dark ring on it. This is the valve face. This portion here at the very top of it's the valve margin. So the valve face, within the valve face, you want to have a contact width pattern, usually just down from the edge of the margin, which is the beginning of the valve face, and about 3/4 of the way up, halfway up even, which it looks like to be, and then the remainder here, because what's going to end up happening is it wears up and wears off the end, and then you end up getting into the margin and then losing some of the seat. So I like to bring it down a bit from the top, and that's usually controlled when you do a 3-angle valve grind, where you do a topping angle and a bottom one down here, which is a throating angle on the seat. Looking at this, and again, I don't think you're going to see that on the camera. I see a nice clean little line around there where the contact's been made on that. So I'm pretty happy with that one. It looks pretty good. So let's try the next one, the intake. And you can see there's a bit of a pattern there, but it's kind of broken up. There's some crap on there, a little bit of oil. So we'll put some compound on this one. And really, the purpose behind doing this is just making sure you got a good seat. And I'll tell you, I did an engine years ago for a guy, and there was a problem with it running, and I've really kind of weird situation. I had dual carbs on it, did a smoke test on it, and one of the carbs on the one side was sucking more than the other. So what ended up happening was the valve was actually leaking and not completely seating. So I was losing cylinder pressure while it was running, and kind of had a, not really a miss to it, but just didn't have the power, and that manifold actually ran cooler in temperature, like the exhaust temperature. I think it was, we took it out, I think it was like 300 degrees or something, 375 maybe. And then the other ones were, you know, around 400 and change. So it was running a lot cooler. Anyway, we'll go back to this here again. Now listen for this, if you can hear it. You can hear it's already made a pattern. Maybe try the bigger side here. See, it's a bigger valve. It's a bigger valve. So they can be a pain in the butt sometimes. I think my plunger's getting a little worn. Try the brake clean trick and see what happens. And this is real-time stuff. This is what you got to deal with, so it's good for a little tutorial video anyways. See what you got to do and what you're up against, like me wrestling here with the little suction cup. Sounds good. Sounds smooth and quiet. So we'll see what we get here. The survey says. Nice wide pattern. And really what you're supposed to do is take that pattern and then do a measurement on it. And when you measure it, it's supposed to fall within manufacturer specification. Now, there's something I'm not liking about this one. I have to go back to the drawing board on this and see what's going on. This, so to do this once it's cleaned up a bit. I'm not sure, I just seen a little bit of a line on the back here, which would have indicated it was touching at the bottom, but it doesn't seem to be. It's just a mark on the valve, I guess, from factory. But again, a good seat width on here, and I think factory on them is supposed to be like 65 to 68 thou. So I mean, if we took a vernier and measured this out, sorry, leave you alone on the camera here for a moment. So if we take a vernier here, sure she's zeroed, and then go in and do a quick measurement on this. And I said, what, about 68 to 58 to 68 thou or something like that. It's looking like we're about, trying a different spot. Yeah, could be a little bit wider. Like just over 55 thou. So I'll have to look at that on spec. I'll have a look at the exhaust one. So you get a good contact pattern. The more contact you have in valve face you have in contact, the less carbon it's going to build and the more heat it's going to dissipate. This one's 55 also. So I don't know, maybe that's what they've got them cut at. I'm not quite sure. I do have another set of heads here too, and they're the one step above these by order, like by number, and I wanted to compare the valve spring pressures on them to see if they're exactly the same or slightly different. But the interesting thing is with the other set of heads that it does have the 3-angle valve grind, and you can see the different angles that have been cut on the valve face, or pardon me, on the valve seat, to position the contact width pattern on the valve face in the correct position and the correct width. And that's done by correcting and adjusting either the topping angle of the valve seat, the face angle, or the throating angle. So all three of them work together in creating a nice even movement of air in or out of the engine. So just things to consider when you're looking at the head. So again, these are brand new heads. I'm taking them apart, checking the patterns, making sure the pattern's good, so that I don't run into the problem of the valve seal or the valve face to the seat contact seal failing during operation. And you know, they do wear in, and they do tend to seat a lot better once they do wear in, but it's important to make sure they're in the right spot to begin with, and that they do have a good pattern, so that when they do wear in, then they're not wearing out and not, you know, making sure that they do have a good seal. Anyways, just different things to look at on Volkswagen heads.